Hey there, and welcome back. This is My New Life, Chapter 1, video number 2. I'm really so glad to have you back, and this video is going to build on what we discussed in video 1. I am sure the homework assignment was quite daunting, and if you really thought back to the initial engagement, the initial trauma, the initial bullying that left you with those assumptions about yourself, um, it can be really difficult and really stressful. But it is critical to what we're going to do next. And one of my slogans is clarify, commit, conquer. It really is at the core of the process that I use with my clients. Video number 1 was really talking about the clarify part of things. We need to first clarify what those feelings are and where they came from, um, and who they came from, before we can go on to committing to any kind of change. I'm sure you've all heard of post-traumatic stress. It's in the news quite often, and you don't need to be overseas in the military or experiencing that kind of trauma to really undergo or to really have to deal with post-traumatic stress. But there is such a thing called post-traumatic growth, and it is proven, it's scientifically based and backed and researched, and that really is our end game here. That's where we want to get to. It is really possible to not just survive, but to actually thrive. And that expression of whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger is really true, because you can harness those negative feelings and use them to create something good. We'll get to that in a little bit. All right, so in video 1, we talked about clarifying those feelings and where they came from. Now, these assumptions that you have made about yourself, that you have carried around for all this time, whatever it is, and I used the example of not having a voice in the last one, and it's something that I know a great deal about. Um, and it could come from really anywhere. I gave you my own example last time, but it could come from any place. There is physical trauma, emotional trauma, all kinds of things that happen, and most of it does happen as children. Now, children never need to really try and understand what's going on. Now, children are, to quote Chaim Ganot, which I posted on the Facebook page, so if you have not joined the Facebook page yet, you really should. As Chaim Ganot says, children are like wet cement. Everything leaves an impression. This is really true. Positive, negative, everything. It's not a child's job to question. It's not a child's job to have to think, where did this come from? Maybe Mr. Johnson had a bad day today. Maybe Mr. Johnson's dog ran away or his wife left him and he's taking it out on me. Children don't know from that, and they don't understand that. And so there are no apologies to be made on any of our points as children. We didn't ask for it, and we certainly didn't deserve any kind of abuse or trauma as children. But these assumptions that you have carried around, that you did make about yourself, that do stay with you for years and years and years and years, and hopefully we'll be able to harness these emotions and use them for something positive. They are based on someone else's bad day. They are based on someone else's half-assed opinion about you. And they are based on other people's trauma, because as we talked about in video number 1, everybody experiences trauma on some level at some point. And there are 2 types of people, as we talked about. People like us who internalize and self-sabotage and carry it around and possibly feel unworthy. And then there are the externalizers, and those are the people that are bullied, that become bullies themselves. There's an interesting Native American legend that I heard of recently that says that really within all of us there are 2 beasts, and they're constantly battling each other. And one beast is the kindness and the goodness and the generosity, and the other beast is the one with the anger and the resentment and the jealousy, the envy, and these two beasts battle constantly. And you may wonder, well, which one wins? The answer, the one you feed. So, as internalizers, we have fed the kind, the generous, the one that would prefer to take this crap out on ourselves rather than on someone else. But those negative feelings that were created from this trauma are still there. You can't forget pain. You can't forget fear. You cannot forget anger or resentment. But you can use those negative emotions, and negative emotions are very, very powerful things. You can use them to your benefit. You can use them. You can harness them. You can use them to fire up that desire that's in your belly. You can use them to pivot yourself forward. And that's the next step of what we're really going to talk about. We cannot control what happened. It's gone. It's done. It lives on in our heads and our hearts, but we cannot change it, and we cannot control the people who did it. And the exercise that was for homework last time really wanted to narrow down who, the what, the who, the where, so that if you really stop and think about who did it to you, who took their own crap out on you, try to put yourself in that person's shoes for 1 second and think about, and it doesn't excuse anything, and that's not at all where I'm going with it, but think about why that person did it. The own fear, his or her own fear that was there. Perhaps, like I said, Mr. Johnson, who took everything out on you in 4th grade, maybe that morning his wife left him. Maybe the day before his dog ran away. And I mean, really, who knows? And we'll probably never know. In all this time, and there are some things from my childhood too that I will get to, but in all this time, only one of those people ever really apologized to me. And I was shocked and floored, and that really doesn't happen. So we probably will never really know why these things occurred. The thing that you need to know is that it was not personal. You were just there. You were there in the wrong place at the wrong time. And again, as children, we have no control. We shouldn't have control. We shouldn't have to worry about other people's bad days. But I do want you to put yourself now, think about you as a child. And now think about stepping back and pretending you're an adult looking down at you at that time in your life. Much like if your daughter or son was bullied, what you would say to him or her. And you would probably say, oh, that kid is jealous of you, or he was in a bad mood and don't take it personally, or you'd go to the principal or the police or do whatever you need to do. Now, many of us weren't lucky enough at the time that these things were happening to either A, tell somebody, or B, really have an adult that we could talk to at the time. And so we never got that adult advice at the time. It's our time now, as adults, to talk to our younger selves and make us aware as children that it wasn't our fault and we can move on. And we can not only move on, we can do it in such a way that we take all this emotion that's there, and negative emotion too, because negative emotion is very powerful and strong, and we can use it to our advantage. We can become the people that we were meant to be. We can do the things in life that we were meant to do. It is possible. Post-traumatic growth is possible. And since you really can't control what happened or who did it, and even now, if there are things that are going on now, and I have heard from people who have told me that it continues, and they're sick and tired of being trod on, they're sick and tired of being stifled, they're sick and tired of being abused. And you know what? Right now, you can control it. You can walk away. You can say, excuse me. You can stand up for yourself. And that little child that was traumatized, that was abused, didn't have someone to do that. You can now do that for yourself, for that child within you. All right, so I honestly believe that time goes very fast. And one day we turn around and look up and our lives are coming to an end, and we say, oh, if only, if only. The worst thing in life is to look back and say, what if? Or I should have. If only. Never say if only. Do it now. If not now, when? I want to leave you with another homework assignment. Going into video 3, which will be up very shortly. This one is called the miracle question. And it is a miracle because now that we have identified and kind of itemized all those experiences and all the negativity that's in our head, at least for the one we set our goal for this time. You know, this is a process that can be done for each one of these fears and assumptions. But at least for this one, now that we've done this, we can say, okay, well, now what is it that I do want? I'm sick and tired of fighting through the crap just to get to a point of zero. You know, you live in the negatives just to get to a point of zero where I'm okay, I'm neutral. The next step is to take that into the positives. So the next assignment is called the miracle question. And this one, I want you to write out where you actually want to be, what you actually want to do. And I want details. And I want you to get as specific as possible. And not just, I want to overcome this. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to be? If you're thinking that, you know, you really you want your business to get off the ground to a point where you know that it's fired by your passions, that's awesome. Write about that. If you are looking for a new relationship and really need to get out of your current situation, write about that. Write about where you see yourself. And it's not just 5 years, but where you ultimately see yourself. That's the miracle question. And it has to be detailed. So really think about this one. All right. I will see you very soon for video 3. If anyone has any questions at all, of course, please email me, Karen@KarenColdCoaching.com. And it's, as I've said, it's not only my pleasure to assist you, it is my honor. I'll see you soon.